let's get into our first game here because you tweeted out to everyone, to the homies, the theme of tomorrow's podcast is most important non-quarterbacks of Wild Card Weekend. Who is yours and why? So the homies chimed in big time on this one.
Big time. Way to go, homies.
We'll get to those. The 5 seed in the Browns taking on the 4 seed in the Texans. Saturday, 4:30 on NBC and Peacock. Our coverage begins at 3 o'clock. We got an hour and a half post-game show. Matt Casey is furiously
Apparently, we're going to be
on
TV the whole day on Saturday.
The whole weekend, kind of feels like.
Pretty much.
We'll be just in that Studio 1. So the last time they played was Week 16.
Yep.
The Browns beat Houston 36-22. What did we learn in that game? No C.J. Stroud, correct?
Big deal. No C.J. Stroud, no both starting defensive ends, right? No Jonathan Greenard, no Will Anderson. So that certainly was 3 very important players to the Houston Texans football team.
The fact that those 3 people are back in some capacity make this a much closer game.
Well, I do think it'll be closer, yes. I mean, one, the great thing is when you play a team for the second time, right, the Texans are going to be like, okay, wait, we know what to expect from them a little bit. Like, holy cow, they were big and fast and caught us off guard the first time. Now we know what we're dealing with here, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to have, all their attention knowing the animal they're going against in the Cleveland Browns, certainly. I think that the defensive side of the ball, and for the sake of the exercise of what we're doing, right? Yep. The most non-important quarterback.
No, most important non-quarterback.
Most important non-quarterback.
Yeah, the least important player on the field.
Yes, I get into that, and it definitely is, to me, I go more to the Texans' defensive side. I say that, one, I think Cleveland's favored to win this football game. I'd be shocked if they were not. But also, within that, right, I don't expect Houston's offense to be able to move the ball consistently on the best defense in football. I don't expect that, right? So where do I expect the expectations to change a little bit? Well, I hope that Houston can make some adjustments here to where Cleveland doesn't score 36 points on them and Amari Cooper doesn't go for 265 yards, through the air again, right? So the ones I looked at more than anything, I put the Texans corners in this for a few reasons here. Stingley, Steven Nelson, and Desmond King. One, Cleveland's running the ball better than they were at that point of the season on Christmas Eve. They've kind of figured that a little bit. I think they've got these tackles in shape to where I think, they're going to rely on the run game more than they did the first time around. All right, so I think the Texans are going to need more people in the box, right? They're not a big defense, but they got speed and everything along those range. But I think they're going to have to worry about that a little bit. So you'd want to favor that to a degree. But the other thing is, too, the coverages they play in Houston, and we talk about this a lot. Like when we talk about the 49ers and how to attack it the last few years, what do I always say? They take away the 10 to 15-yard throw.
Right.
So you got to throw the ball down the field. They kind of call your bluff. Flacco and company did that a little bit. What do I always say with the 49ers too? Like they try to take away the middle of the field. Shanahan goes, wait, I kill everybody here. Don't let everybody kill us there, right? He tells his team that. So where do I always say the last few years you're playing the 49ers? Throw the ball outside the numbers. They're corners. It's playing a zone, but it really ends up like a man-to-man more times than not on the outside. Flacco can throw the ball outside. He did that a lot in the first matchup. So that's where I look at the corners to go. And, of course, the defense has to play better to where, they're going to be put in some spots where it's you and Amari Cooper one-on-one. So that's where I kind of put the onus on them a little bit to not only play better and be a little safer. Okay, give up the 10-yard completion. Don't give up the 80-yard completion down the sideline, right? So that's the one thing I look at that severely has to change in this matchup for Houston to have a chance.
A few of the homies agree with you here. Nitin Mohan says Will Anderson for Houston, him being available for that Houston D-line helps them get to the pass-happy Flacco.
No doubt. It plays hand in hand there.
Yeah, they need him to make those key defensive plays to have a chance of winning. Alex Jackson says Cleveland's offensive line got to protect our new investment in Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
So there it is.
I would agree with all those. They're all good thoughts. Alex Jackson, he's right about that. They got to protect. They got to be careful about that. My thoughts about that. Kevin Stefanski, who sounds like he might win Coach of the Year, and I love the X's and O's and the ideas and the Jim Shorts, hiring and all that. But I'm still going to say it. I worry about their management of the football game. I do. That to me is one of the things to watch out for. I will say it again. The 85 Bears, the 86 Giants, the 2001 Bucks, Colts, the 2000 Ravens, the 2013 Seahawks, the 2015 Broncos. They weren't, let's go for it on 4th and 7. Let's go for it on 4th and 6. They didn't do that. And they went to the Super Bowl and won.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what they're like, this type of team. So don't do that. That's going to be a big thing here. But I will say, Cleveland, we know, and you've heard me say, we don't want Flacco throwing the ball 45 times a game. They got in too much of a stretch of that. I do think that there'll be a little more emphasis on the run game in this one, and hopefully that, for Cleveland and Joe Flacco's case, that's a good thing.
Yeah, last time they played, Houston outrushed Cleveland 72-54.
Right.
So neither team really was a world beater in that category.
No, not at all.
It wasn't just Cleveland running out the clock, too. They had just 2.1 yards per carry in the first half, and so they just were unable to run the ball.
No. Like, you saw my notes, right? And I think I wrote, at one point I wrote, halfway through the second quarter, points would be great for the Texans, but they can barely get a first down, right? I mean, that's what it was. And that's where I do worry about it a little, too, right? That's where I worry about it. I watched the Houston Colts game from last week, before I went back and watched Houston-Cleveland one more time. Houston's worried about their O-line. You heard me on Sunday night go, damn, I thought Houston ran the ball too much, right? I thought they should throw the ball. Well, watching the film back, and this is why I'm always glad I watch the film, because TV can lie to you. I understand why they did it. They couldn't block Indianapolis. They could not. Their game plan was basically get the ball out of C.J. Stroud's hands. Let's not throw the ball too much because we only think bad things can happen because we can't protect. They got George Fant, who's been on a whole bunch of different teams, playing a right tackle.
Sure.
Scruggs, I think I wrote in my notes, the right guard. The interior part is not great for their offensive line. They have issues. Scruggs, 70, being the weak link of the group there, gets beat a lot. It happened in Cleveland. It happened against the Colts. That's what I worry about. I don't think they're going to be able to have a lot of consistent success against the Cleveland Browns defense. Where I give them a fighting chance, and you've heard me say this too, Cleveland is in your face a lot of the times in the game, right? Whether it's to stop the run or the pass. To where there are certain plays where you're like, well, if they run the ball here and he gets past the first line of defense, like there is nobody else, right? It's literally like 9 guys are 1 yard from the ball. And it's like, if they break through, watch out, right? It's just going to be him and the safety. Kind of the same thing with some of the coverage they do at times too. You've heard me say it. It's all 3 corners, bump and run, man to man across your face. Like literally, like we're not going to let you throw a 3-yard pass, but that does make it, Nico Collins deep with one of the best deep ball throwers in C.J. Stroud. So that's where I see the game can make. I don't expect consistent long drives from the Texans, but with C.J. Stroud, can they make some big plays in the game every now and then to where it can kind of make up for the lack of consistency? And I could see that happening. I can, yes.
Nigel Bryant says Jim Schwartz is his most important non-quarterback. While this Browns defense has been historically dominant, they are dealing with significant injuries to all 3 levels of their defense, and the Texans just played them, so Bobby Slowick has better film to dissect.
Yep.
He goes, also, in case the show is still searching for a homie that wants to sponsor Inside the Notebook, I'm more than happy to. Thanks for the great and consistent content. And so we will do that. Let's do it. Let's go Inside the Notebook, sponsored by Nigel Bryant. Well, Nigel, we're going to write a bill to you. You're going to be getting it's $7,000 to do this. So we're going to look into your notebook here, specifically some of the things that you have mentioned already about this Browns defense. Browns defense is so aggressive and crazy. Is that and crazy?
Yeah, and crazy. Yep. Not my best handwriting.
They will give you a chance to make 3 or 4 big plays a game. Can you take advantage of it?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like even in the game against the Texans the first time around, they do so much, right? And they're so into like, wait, you're in this formation, we got this defense, and then you switch to another, you motion somebody across in the formation change, and they get to a totally new different defense, right? To where they will mess some things up every now and then too. I mean, they blew a coverage or 2 during the game where, like, Case Keenum got hit just as he was throwing. You're like, oh, my gosh, he's uncovered. He's wide open. He's going to go down the field. They had a play where they faked the run to the left. The fullback acted like he was going to block the linebacker and then continued up the field. And Keenum couldn't get the ball off. I mean, we're talking wide open, at least 60 yards. That's what I mean. They're going to have a few chances. Can you take advantage of it? Can you be calm enough? See, quarterbacks miss plays like this all the time against Cleveland because it's like every play is like, whoa, duck, whoa, I have nowhere to throw. So then you have a little time. and everything, and all of a sudden it's just like, oh my God, everything's hastened up and fast in your brain because they're all over the place. They do a ton of different things up front. So mentally, you're always juggling that. On the secondary, they're aggressive. They play a ton of man-to-man, but it's not like stupid amounts, right? They know when to go like, hey, let's play a zone here. Or let's do that. So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. To me, one of the things that's going to be like the Texans got to block it up a little bit. Keep some tight end in. Keep 2 tight ends every now and then. Let C.J. Stroud try to catch him in a play where, it's man-to-man. And now I can let Nico Collins work downfield, right? Let's see if these guys can cover for 4 seconds while Nico Collins runs a post corner 40 yards down the field, right?
Yeah.
I like the chances of that for the Texans. The other thing that'll be big is the screen game. Right? Anytime you play an extremely aggressive defense that's in your face as the quarterback, hey, come on, come up here, come get me. Oh, boop, right over the top. There's Damon Pierce, Singletary, whoever, now who's snuck out. And those are little avenues that can give them a little advantage against this Browns D.
Protecting both quarterbacks, like you said, too. And the thing with the Cleveland Browns is last time they played the Houston Texans, they did protect Joe Flacco. It was the only game this season where he has not been sacked.
Yeah.
Was sacked 8 times in his other 4 games. Now, you mentioned they didn't have those guys on the edge.
Yep.
So Flacco, we have some of the numbers for in that game when he had no pressure. He threw for almost 300 yards alone, 20 of 28. When they got a little pressure around Joe Flacco, he threw his 2 interceptions and incomplete 7 out of the 14 times.
Yeah. No, he's prone to do that. That's where, if I'm the Cleveland Browns, as I've been yelling at the top of my lungs for the last month, is just don't overdo it with Joe Flacco. Don't. Right? Err on the conservative side. That's what I would say. Now, the last piece of this before we move on is that, the Texans don't like the blitz. So they need those 2 guys on the edge to be healthy, right? The D'Amico Ryan defense, the 49er defense, they're not a blitzing defense. They want their front 4 to get there. So that'll be big. So that's where the 2 defensive ends will help out. And then certainly the other thing, too, that really jumped out to me, and you hear me say this a lot sometimes with this defensive scheme, not everybody understands how to attack it, right? They don't understand the rules of this 49ers D'Amico Ryan defense. Mm-hmm. And they don't understand how they pass things off. And you hear me say, like, they go 4-on-3 or 3-on-2, and you got to figure out how they're passing it off and how they're working that little 3-on-2 zone. Cleveland showed a very good understanding of it. To me, Cleveland showed the ability of, like, we get your rules, and we know how to stress them and put you in some problems. And they did that. Hence, that's why he threw for 395,000 yards in the game, is because of that. So that's where Houston's got to change some things up just a little bit, maybe give some different looks to not let Cleveland get such a groove offensively.
I'm super excited about this game because either way it goes, it's a really compelling storyline, right? If the Cleveland Browns go out there and Joe Flacco's dicing up that defense, that's amazing.
Yes.
Right? And if Houston goes out there and it's C.J. Stroud and he's one of the best rookie quarterbacks that we've ever seen, and now he's doing it in the playoffs, that's super compelling. I'm not just saying that because it's on NBC.
No, I think it is super compelling. I'm with you there. I'm totally with you. It's one of the most exciting quarterbacks in football, right, who likes to chuck the ball deep. And then we got a defense that's literally like, we don't want you to chuck it 1 yard. We're trying literally to have you negative yards every play.
Yeah.
And that sets up for either, superb, awesome plays or disastrous, awesome plays. And I'm excited to watch that.
Old Greg 001, remember him?
Yeah.
He was the one that said that he was going to put his life savings on Texans +2.
Right.
You told him not to do that, but you said you would bet him $20. He responded.
Good. Way to go, old Greg 001.
I'm good. I was just trolling anyways. As a Yinzer, it's my duty to try to piss off any Browns fan I can in the comments.
I like it.
If the Browns lose this game, it will be because of Flacco turnovers and not the defense.
I like it. I really like old Greg. I appreciate the honesty there. That's what I like on this. Self-scouting themselves, coming real there. That's cool. I'm down with that.
Pete says he will take your bet if you're still up for it.
Oh, he's okay. He's taking the Flacco's bubble will burst angle. Okay, I'm with it.
You and Pete, $20.
Me and Pete. Yep.
Old Greg, you may have just lost Pete $20. That's crazy. All right, so 4:30 on NBC on Saturday. We will see you there.
Yo, what up, homies? Thanks for watching. Remember, subscribe to Chris Simms Unbuttoned. Right now, we got Sunday pod, right? So you can have it Monday morning. We recap all the action. Wednesday, it's the What the Happened podcast. We're going to get deep in the weeds on the key matchups of the week. And then Thursday, I'm picking games with that jerk Florio. So you know where to find us, homies. Keep watching. Peace out. We'll see you.